stories that connect us to ourselves and each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid, wild colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. And now, exclusively on KGRA Radio, I give you your host for Soul Wanderings Radio. Here's AJ.
Hello, happy day, friend. It is time for some soul wandering, the opportunity to hear journey stories, experiences from all kinds of people, all walks of life, who show up to share authentic pieces of themselves with all of us. And I am AJ Rasmussen, your host, and I'm blessed to have you here with us this evening. Soul Wanderings is a comfy, cozy get-together where we meet so many incredible humans, but in the comfort of our own homes. We get to talk about all things spiritual, metaphysical, inspirational, paranormal, motivational, and more. So thank you for spending time with us this evening. You can participate during the show if you are interested in doing so. If you're listening live with us tonight, we have a chat room to play in. The chat is hosted on kgraradio.com. And while we wander with our guest, I also hang out with you in the chat room. It's a fun way to interact in conversation behind the scenes and ask those questions that may come up for you. So if you do find yourself wanting to ask a question, you will want to be there too. And be sure to type those questions in all caps so I can grab them easily as time allows. But before we continue on, I have a deep feeling we will be hearing some things that are meant to be heard for us right now. Whoever you are and wherever you are at, I'm thankful for so many reasons that we can meet here each week for a couple of hours and sit with a higher vibration than that of which is happening outside our doors right now. So take a deep breath in and release and kick back and enjoy the show. Everything has a vibration which interconnects with itself. Every living thing vibrates and becomes at one with its surroundings. Everything we know is of life. Life in vibration with the earth is the basis of everything. Energy, light, and sound, all of one source. Connecting with the highest vibrations of our energy releases and reconnects with the universal flow of life on earth. It is the song of the ancients, their way of communicating with everything that exists on the earth plane. As one vibration interconnects with another, it changes, shifts, to create different waves of energy, emitting vortexes of new connections with the universe. As one vibration spirals downwards, another creates a spinning swirl of energy pushing, forcing it upwards. Each connects with the other and reconnects to itself. The Earth's energy is vibrating. You are vibrating. What I have just shared with you comes from our guest. Whew, it's so beautiful. Born in England, she is a natural healer who has worked in the magical sphere of spirituality all of her life, bringing forth many modalities that have manifested and evolved along the way. Please join me in welcoming to the show Debbie A. Anderson, a clairvoyant medium who has created many experiences, including the creation of vibrational energy, which she defines as being gifted to her from spirit. Hello, Debbie, and welcome to Soul Wanderings.
Hello, AJ, and thank you so much. I was listening to those words and I thought, wow, they're really wonderful. And then I'm going, I wrote those. Sorry, when I write things, it comes through me from spirit. So sometimes I feel like I'm the outside force listening to it. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was beautiful.
I could not share it. It took my breath away when I read it. It just resonated very much with me, and I knew that it was a message that would be beautiful to share, especially right now, and a great introduction to bring you on so everyone is aware of what magnificence you're bringing to the show tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the thing is, we all bring our own magnificence. We all vibrate in such different frequencies that makes us all connected. And this is what I love about it. You know, I know we can't go in malls and things like that at the moment, but if we go into a mall and there are so many different dress shops just for women alone, so one will resonate with you, one won't. One is what you want to go to, but you haven't quite reached it yet. And another one is like, no, that's never going to happen to me. And I think this is something that we assume that there's just one high frequency and that's it. Well, there's all these different levels and we connect with them every single day in everything we do. And that's what I love about it, because we're constantly vibrating, our frequency changes. You know, sometimes we can come across something that just blows us away. It's so beautiful, or we just feel this love, and then we feel like we're elevated up, and then another, it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? We feel like we're going down, but we're not. We're just going across all those incredible layers of those frequencies that are there, that are all part of us.
I like the way you explain that.
Yeah, I think of us as, you know, we're black and white and everything in between, because we have within us balance, and the balance within us can vibrate at different levels depending upon what's happening, outside influences. And of course, we've only got to look around us at the moment, and there's some people that don't want to be locked up, some people that are embracing it. You know, there's so many different frequencies, and they're all intermingling with each other, and no one is right and no one is wrong. It's just what is happening. So if we can accept that, and you know, I love reading Dr. Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief. He and Greg Braden are probably two of my superheroes, because they talk about all the time the only thing we can own are our thoughts. And that's where all of this sort of begins and ends. You know, we can go into the, you know, my life is this, or my life is not this, or all of those kind of things. But we can also go, okay, so this is what's going on with me at the moment. I'm not particularly liking it, but I can't change that. But I can change the way I think about it, the way I interact with myself and my frequency. And I don't know about you, but I like being around happy, laughing, elevated people. I don't like being in that vibration of people that are doom and gloom and everything's bad and the world is ending and all that kind of thing. It's like, I believe that if the world is ending, I'm going to have a little bit of fun before I go.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So if
I got asked the other day how I was handling all of this experience, and I was explaining, I actually feel really good.
Yeah, me too.
I feel great. I've created this beautiful reality and I haven't been phased.
Yes. And it's funny because my husband and I both tour a lot with our work. My husband, Chris Lee, is a past life regressionist. So we're always touring. You know, we have time off. And it's funny because, you know, I always, people say to me, well, you have all this insider information being a clairvoyant. Well, sometimes I know without knowing, you know, and that's something we all need to connect into, that know without knowing. And we got told by, you know, we sort of made a decision, or I can't even remember how it came about, that we weren't going to be touring this year. And go figure, we're not touring this year, not because we decided not to, but because the world decided. So we were already in that mode of, we're not touring, we're going to be doing other things, this and that, and putting things online and doing a lot more online. So it was almost like Spirit giving us a little heads up. Hey, there's stuff coming down the tubes here, be aware. So, and of course, when I wrote my channeled message back last year and shared it with everybody, and it's on YouTube if anybody wants to go and find it. It's called 2020 Predictions, and it's channeled message by me on my YouTube channel. And when they gave all this information, and when I reread it back and I reread it back now, I see, yeah, they actually knew this was coming down the tubes, maybe not in the way that it turned out. But what I love about it is the insider information that they give within that of things that are going to be happening. And May was a big one, that there was going to be a lot of transformation. And of course, in North America, I live in Canada, we started to open up a little bit more, and people are starting to go around their day-to-day business. Yes, we're all social distancing and things like that. And then it had given me back in March, when I looked at the information there, things that were actually happening in January and March that were really significant to what was going on. And of course, jumping forward to August is the next time that they indicate some change. So I'm forever hopeful. I know this whole year is about balance. Balancing within ourselves, balancing within our world, going back to community and being there for each other, not being so isolated, even though at the moment we all feel, well, what can I do? I feel I can't do anything. But yes, you can. There are so many things. There are people growing things. There are people going outside and helping other people that they maybe wouldn't have had time to do before. It's, today I was somewhere, and this whole social distancing thing, and there was a lady struggling to get a cart through a doorway. It was very heavy, and you could see everybody, I want to go and help her. I really want to go and help her, but is she going to be okay with it? And then one gentleman just moved forward and he grabbed hold of the cart, and then another gentleman moved forward, and the three of them then pushed it in. They were not social distancing, but they all smiled at each other and obviously in their way thanked each other. And I'm thinking, this is what it's back down to: human kindness, human awareness of being there to help each other. So I'm hopeful that listeners that are here tonight that are going to go, yeah, that's what it's about. It's human kindness. It's loving one another. It's being there to help one another. And especially now more so than ever in our world. I grew up in an age where gentlemen opened doors for ladies, and if you were a younger person, you gave up your seat on the bus or the train or whatever it was on public transport. You were help somebody across the road and things like that. And I'm not saying that has disappeared completely, but perhaps we got so caught up in our own little space that we forgot about others. And now we're being given the opportunity to get back and reconnect with folks. So I'm hopeful that helps with everybody, and they have a little bit more feeling that this is not about being punished or anything like that, and just stepping into your own thought processes. Every night before I go to sleep, and this I've done for so many years, I take a moment to be in gratitude for everything that's happened in my day, even if it's, okay, I didn't get toilet paper today, but I got Kleenex instead, or I got bottled water, some of those, what we call first world issues that we get so caught up in, that we forget about those. I'm thankful there was sunshine today. I'm thankful that from my condo window, I can smell the lilacs. I'm thankful I hear the birds singing. I'm thankful I hear children laughing as they're playing in their backyards. So many things to be thankful for, that once we keep raising that vibration upwards, then things come back to us in that frequency.
Right. I agree.
And even if it's, I'm thankful that the guy that cut me off didn't hit me.
Yes, it really does matter, finding that gratitude.
And I find that for every gratitude that I give, I fall asleep doing gratitude. I'm laying there. I've had people say, I've got nothing to be feeling happy about, or there's nothing that I'm in, feeling that I want to give gratitude. And I say, I can find you 5 things straight away, and you can build on that. I'm happy I can breathe in clean air. I'm happy there's a roof over my head. I'm happy I've got food in my belly. I'm happy that I can drink clean water. I'm happy that there are people around me that I can communicate with. And we can go on and go on and go on, and we can build on that. So it doesn't have to be those huge accolades. I'm thankful I live in a country where I do have a freedom of speech, even though I might be called a conspiracy theorist at the moment. But I still have that freedom.
Right.
So there are so many things that are there, and maybe we can't do all of the things we wanted to and have done in the past. And I do find it hard to accept that playgrounds are fenced off. I want to go and rip all the tape and rip all the railings off.
Right. I agree.
But that's okay. I have to abide by that at the moment, because there are concerns, and that's okay. But I know by the way people are acting and interacting with each other that there is that human kindness there. Maybe I just live in a really good community. I don't know. I'm hopeful that others that are listening in, that their communities are doing something. You know, we have what they call drive-by, where the frontline workers will drive by and honk their horns, and we'll go out and wave and cheer and all of that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And it makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It builds my vibration up. It makes me feel sort of almost like heady, if you like, because you're seeing these people just going out and they'll have balloons on their vehicles, and, you know, they'll shout up and, you know, we'll shout down to them kind of thing, and sort of, you know, thankfulness. And, you know, thanking, I see more people in the grocery stores thanking the people that are serving them, thanking the person's not so disgruntled when you say, I cannot find something, and they say, oh, let me just go find, or I'll go and look, or I'll go and check. You know, thankfulness is there, whereas before we may have been short, we may have been, you know, rushing around and on our focus and on our journey, and not had time for what I call niceties, pleasantries. You know, and I always thank people for helping me, and it just brings a smile to people's face, and that raises their vibration. So next time you're out, just say something nice to somebody, even if it's 6 foot apart from them.
Right. And even if you cannot use your word smile, if you don't have a mask on anyway.
Yeah. I'm one of these people. When my husband said, you know, some people say, oh, you know, in the lineups people get really upset, or they're all looking at the ground and scared to look at each other. And I'll always interact with people and say, oh, I love your coat, or oh, that looks really lovely, or look at that lovely plant over there, or things like that. And people do respond. I think when they know that people are okay, they respond. And a lot of the jokes I have lately is, I'm never going to die. I ate dirt as a child, so my immune system is absolutely perfect. You know, I'm 63 years of age, and you know, I grew up in Britain, so they're a bit sort of, you know, if you've scraped your knee over there, well, you look at it. If it's not, your leg's not falling off, get back outside and play, kind of thing. That was the kind of childhood I grew up with. And, you know, we didn't have all the cushioning and the protection and stuff. Maybe that's why I'm so weird. I don't know. But anyway.
You're far from weird.
But as kids, we would go out and play outside. And, you know, yeah, we would come in and mum would shout. The first thing she would shout as we came through the door, because we were always dirty, go wash your hands. You know, we sit down, have you washed your hands? And she would check them. So beyond that, you know, there was never all this over eagerness. And I know things have changed, and I know there's lots of different factors behind it. But as kids, you know, if somebody got sick, we all got thrown in with them. It was like everybody in the neighborhood got to hang out with everybody else in the neighborhood, because all the parents thought, well, if one gets chicken pox, if they all get chicken pox, then we'll get it over and done with and move on to the next thing. And as kids, we never even thought it strange. So it was just you know, okay, Johnny down the street has chicken pox. We're all going down to play with him. So, you know,
it is a different time. It definitely is a different time. And it sounds like you live in a beautiful community where you're all supporting each other and raising the vibration.
I'm very blessed where I live. I live in southern Ontario near Windsor, and on the shores of Lake Erie. We have a condo which is not very far from Lake Erie, and the whole community here is much more friendlier. Like my husband and I try to do a lot more walking to go and get groceries and things like that. We're very blessed. We're quite close to our grocery stores and things like that. So, and when we encounter people, we all, you know, I'll always say happy Monday or happy Tuesday or what a beautiful day. And people do respond, and it seems to be elevated. And I think that is just, as I say, I'm very, very blessed. So it is a small community, only 30-something thousand people, but, you know, there are all walks of life here. We have lots of migrant workers here. And of course, you know, I feel for them because they're away from their home country, they're away from their families, but they're here working, and they seem happy and just getting on with life. And, you know, some people frown upon them, and some people, you know, I always embrace anybody, regardless of what is it, age, race, color, creed, or anything like that. I'll always interact and say hello. You know, it's part of being human.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I wish there was more of that going on right now. Where you're in Canada, I'm not sure if you know what's going on here in the US, but it's a mess right now. It's a mess. And unfortunately, And I'm sure you would feel the same if you were here. The energy is just very heavy at the
Yes.
moment.
Yeah.
And I hope that it clears up and resolves itself very soon. But if we look back at past history, it's just a continuation, unfortunately. But the lessons that we can learn, not only from when COVID was a thing, because it seems to have almost disappeared now, but when that was happening, there was a lot more compassion and a lot more of people slowing down and really taking advantage of the pause. And now it's turned to chaos. So it's as if they didn't learn anything in those last few months. And it's very disheartening, that kind of energy that's lingering at the moment. At least where I'm at and what I see. I don't watch the news a whole lot, but just feeling it and observing it from other people, it's really dense.
It's quite funny in a weird kind of way when we were like, my husband and I, we don't watch mainstream media. I disconnected, I think probably about 4 years ago, which, some people at the time said to me, "Oh, you're very strange." I said, but no, I've concluded if anything really bad is going on, somebody's going to tell me about it, and then I can connect with it. And of course, my husband and I at that time, we winter out of country, usually in Mexico and in Mazatlan, and we were there, and people were talking about this, and they talked about the coronavirus there. And of course, we made a cute little video with the two of us standing on the beach drinking Corona beer. And a few people saw the funny side. And I said, I was trying to raise the vibration. I know what's coming down now and what's going on, but if we live in fear of something, then it attracts to us. And this again is what Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about, that when we are in fear and we get all stressed out, our immune system drops. So yes, we are more susceptible to getting ill. And that's a proven medical fact. And I'm not a medical individual. I certainly am not. And, touch wood, I always say, my husband and I haven't been sick in I don't know how long. If I get a cold or something like that, thankfully it's gone within 24 hours, because I go to bed, I drink fluids, and I rest, and I let my body tell me what it needs, and go through that. So we've never been sick. And again, I say touch wood, it's a British thing that I believe, because I don't invite in the possibility that I'm going to get sick.
Right.
Because I'm doing all the right things. So if I'm fearful, then yes, my immune system's going to go down, and yes, I am more susceptible. So that's something that for me personally that I've done, and it works extremely well. And feeding myself, and I'm not just talking about what I'm ingesting as far as food wise, but what I'm watching, what I'm listening to, what I'm hearing. And when we came back to Canada in March, we were, I think, probably on one of the last few planes that were coming out of any of the countries before they shut everything down. And it was a bit of a scary time for us traveling, not because I was concerned about getting anything, but it was a case of all the rules kept changing hourly. All the things were in a mass of mess. And, I just said, well, wherever we are, we're going to be, and that's it. We can't do anything. So it's beyond our control. But when we got home, it was just this whole thing where people were, there were so many different things that you had to embrace. And it's like, well, we're used to being at home, so it wasn't a big thing. But we never listened to the media. And of course, anybody that would contact me and say, well, have you heard this? And have you heard that? And I said, please switch off the TV. Do something.
Right. It just creates more fear.
All it does is create fear. And, this is just an observation. It's not a judgment in any way, but it upset me to hear that all that was the focus of the media was how many deaths, how many new cases. Nobody focused on how many recoveries, which is what people need to hear. They need to have that balance. I talked at the beginning, that balance of the night, the day, the left, the right, the male, the female. So yes, there are deaths. Yes, there are new cases, but tell us the good stuff. Balance it off there. It's just going to give people hope. I've heard of some horrible things that have happened. I've heard of some terrible things that have occurred because people are so fearful that it's not what we're here for. You know, so anybody listening that is at the moment watching the media 24/7, please switch it off. Please go and do something that is going to raise your vibration. Put on some music, dance it out. Oh my gosh, you know.
Yes, that's my favorite.
Yeah, when I'm feeling low or I've got to do housework, I'll ram up the you know, the music, and I'll churn out some really heavy beat, jumping around, getting my, you know, body moving, because it helps us, again, not only in our physical way, but in our mental way as well. Yes, it's still going to be there at the end of the day, but why not enjoy 8 or 6 or 10 hours of embracing something that's going to be positive around you?
Yeah, absolutely. I love dancing it out.
Yes, me too.
It's the best medicine.
Especially doing housework.
Oh, especially. Nobody likes to do housework. If they do, I have some they can do for me.
I'm very blessed. My husband's really good. He'll do his fair share. So I let him do the what I call the heavy lifting, and I'll just step in when I need to.
What a great balance.
Yes, it is. He says, I'm not good at cooking. I'll leave that to you.
What a great team. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's really neat when you have a partner in life where they're good at something and you're not, and vice versa, and you can balance each other out. It's really, really nice to have.
Yeah, it's very much, and you know, we have to work at it. Oh my gosh, do we have to work at it? Just like anybody. So, you know, people sort of sometimes look at us because, as I say, my husband does past life regression. So his work is different to mine. I do clairvoyant mediumship, and I have my oracle cards, and I do teachings and things like that. So although they're similar in the metaphysical way, they are completely opposite, you know. So we'll have those discussions, and we'll have some talks about different things. But no, we're very blessed. We are extremely blessed, and for that I am thankful. But that occurrence didn't happen until I was almost 40. I'd already gone through one marriage, and it wasn't the best success, as it were. So, you know, for anybody out there that feels that they haven't found that person yet, they are there for you, I promise. It's one of those things. Sometimes it doesn't happen the first time round. And, you know, at that point, we take away the nuggets, we take away the blessings.
Right.
Then
and
we
the
move
lessons.
on. Yeah. And the lessons, you know, I try to sort of understand, because, you know, some people say to me, oh, you're so blessed, you're so lucky, you know, you don't know what it's like to have hardship. And I sort of look at them and I go, you know what? None of us should judge another individual based on what we presume or we see on the outside of their being. You know, just because I don't choose to be miserable, I have had hardships in my life. There have been some very tough times. And now I choose not to step into that. And when they do happen, yes, I remind myself of all those great things that are happening in my life, and I have to work on it. It doesn't just happen. You know, it's a bit like going on a diet. It doesn't just happen, or quitting smoking, or any addiction or alcohol or anything like that. You have to work on it, and you have to work on it daily.
Right.
And as it goes on, time goes on, it gets easier. And then, yes, something comes back and what I always call sideswipes us, or the shift hits the fan. I did say shift. I did. I really did.
Yeah, I heard you. It was great. I say the same thing, so I had a little laugh.
You know, we have these things happen. We can't go along in this whole vibration that everything's sweet and honey and all those good things. If you think of a heartbeat goes up and down and up and down. And only when we die on flatline does it go flat. So we need those little blips going up and down. The good, the bad, the good, the bad, the happy, the sad, the frustration, everything's going right. Because that makes us who we are. That creates us. That defines us. And, you know, some people say, well, I just feel that Spirit are giving me all these lessons. I said, I could list mine out and we could be here for 2 hours. But I'm looking on the basis here that, there were some I had to repeat several times before I actually understood what they were trying to tell me before I moved on. I'm a slow learner.
I mean, that is what we're here for. The human
Exactly.
experience is to learn all of these things,
Exactly.
the
Well,
good and the bad.
and of
I
course,
wouldn't even say bad, but
yeah, but we are that balance of male and female,
yes.
light and dark, and neither is better than or greater than. It becomes all of us. I love the story of the native grandfather talking to his grandson, and he said, "Within you are two wolves. One is the good and the healthy, and the other one is the evil, the bad, and all the things that we want to blame on others." And the grandson says, "But which one wins?" And the grandfather replies, "The one you feed the most."
Mm,
And I love that story because it is true.
very powerful.
We have to look at what we feed ourselves, as I said, what we nourish ourselves with. So today was a crappy day. So maybe I'm going to sit and watch the TV and watch the movies and cry a little, eat ice cream or chocolate cake. Or maybe I'm going to go for a run. Or maybe I'm going to stay in bed for the day. And then tomorrow I have another 24 hours to achieve something different. I get up, I brush my teeth, I wash my hair, I put my clothes on. And even if my body is saying, you know what, I don't want to do this today, I'm forcing it. I go, we're going to go for a walk. We're going to go out in the sunshine, or we're going to go out in the rain, or play in the snow, or whatever it is. I don't care what you're saying, we're going to do it. So it's almost like this battle with yourself that
Hmm.
you have to overcome. So
But you feel
any
better afterwards.
absolutely,
And we fight ourselves so
oh
easily.
gosh, I said we're our own worst Achilles heel because we know
Yes.
all our weaknesses, we know all our failings, and we
Hmm.
assume that everybody else sees them. And so if I go out and my hair's not washed and I'm going for a walk, or I'm angry about something and I've gone for a drive and I go and sit in the car and I rant and rave in the car, I've got out, I've done something. And maybe I needed to do that rant and rave in the car in my own privacy with nobody else around me, which is always a good thing to check first, because there's nothing worse than sitting next to a vehicle and seeing somebody flailing their arms around and screaming at the top of their voice. So, we have to sometimes get that out of ourselves. And if that's what you need to do, then do it. I feel that we sometimes place ourselves that we have to be in that place or that sense of perfection in everything we achieve. As a young mum, I can remember that. I wanted to do the best for my son. I wanted to do this and that and all the rest of it. And, I wasn't good at a lot of things. But the things I was good at, then I just focused on that and let the other stuff go. So I wasn't the greatest cake baking person for the fundraisers. So I would just go along and I would do the cleanup because that's what I could do. I was good at that, or the organizing, all the things. So don't assume because you can't do what everybody else is doing that you can't do something.
Right.
We
Right.
all have a place. We all have an amazing part within us that we're able to achieve something.
Hmm.
And
No matter
I
what that looks like.
exactly. And not everybody is going to be the CEO of a business, but who cuts the grass? Now, the person that cuts the grass in our building, I love it because I get to smell the fresh, green, clean grass that has been cut. I get to see these lovely lawns out there, the birds picking away at everything. Now, if that person wasn't there doing that job, the grass would just grow long and overgrown and it wouldn't be achieved. I
Right.
love the fact that the garbage men come, not necessarily at 6:30 in the morning, but they come, they pick up the garbage, they take it away and make everything clean and sparkly again. The guy that drives the bus, the guy that delivers the food, the guy that stacks the shelves. Everybody has something that they can do that they're achieving. And for that, I'm thankful.
It is really neat how we all have a place and we all have a hand in what's going on in the big scheme of things.
Yeah. And I think
And
sometimes
we
we forget
just
it.
downplay that. We
Yeah.
downplay our gifts and don't realize they're our birthright and we have them to share with the world, and yet
Mm.
we hide them away.
Yeah. I feel so honored when somebody hands me something and they say, "Oh, I knitted this, or I created this, or I stitched this," and I look at it and I go, That's quite amazing. I can't sew to save my life. When I get on a machine, I can make it do things that nobody else can do, and it's not a happy ending. But that's not my forte, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So I will take, when we were in Mazatlan, I had a pair of what I call beach kind of pant things that I bought in Australia many, many years ago, and nobody sells them. And I took them to a seamstress there, and I said, this is what I want to make, or I want you to make. Can you do it? And she said, oh, it's so simple. And I looked at her and I said, for you? Absolutely. For me, it would be an absolute nightmare. And so I was happy to pay her to achieve that for me. And this is where sometimes we have to look at things. So if we can't do everything, but there are other people out there, so align yourself to those people that do the opposite or things that you can't do, and vice versa, and appreciate what you're doing and how you're doing it. Who would have said like 5 years ago that truck drivers were deemed as heroes?
Right.
Delivering
Who would have
food.
thought?
Who would have thought? So never undermine what you do and what you bring to this world. Like mothers and grandmothers and fathers, aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews. Everybody plays a part. And I think this is where we look at, you have to be a movie star, or you have to be an athlete that earns millions of dollars or things like that. Yes, there's nothing wrong with achieving that and aspiring to that, but never look at your own life and see it as unworthy or not doing something and putting into this world, because each of us bring something onto this planet that is a valuable tool, a valuable gift.
I love that you're sharing that. I think the reminder to us as humans is so fantastic. We forget, we lose our way sometimes, and those reminders are beautiful.
It's funny because sometimes when I get to the point where like, oh, why am I doing this? What's the point in this? Or, I don't think it's helping anybody. And I love it, the way Spirit somebody will phone me or send me a message. Oh, I really appreciated this. Or I just listened to your weekly reading. And I'm like, oh, you're so good, Spirit. I love it. On those times when I'm feeling down about something, it's like they send me these little reminders, and and this is what I love so much. And this is where I want to sort of step into reminding everybody is born psychic. We all have those underlying abilities to connect spiritually. And a lot of people are, oh no, I'm not psychic. And I said, well, okay, remember that time when you had you just thought about somebody out of the blue and then they phoned you or you bumped into them? Yeah, well, that was nothing. That's right. Your psychic. That's your intuition. That's the little angels or spirit workers just saying, hey, don't forget to phone so and so.
Yes.
Or we're driving along and then all of a sudden, we go a different direction or a different way to work or to where we were going. And at that time we get a little bit frustrated. Why am I going this way? It seems the longest way to get to where I'm going to. And we either see something or we find out later there was a holdup or an accident on the route we would have normally taken. I always ask when I'm out, it's not so bad now, for a parking spot. Please will you find me a parking spot? And I know that might seem quite mundane and quite selfish, but sometimes when we're on tour and things like that, we have to be somewhere to do the work for the day, and we need to find a parking spot. And I can say 99.9% of the time, Spirit have found one for me. Or I've just arrived a couple of seconds too early, and then I see the vehicle that was parked pull out, and I've just missed that one, so I'll go around the block again. So start to ask, excuse me, for things. Take the blessings as they come. Tap into your own abilities, your own intuitive abilities. And what I'm hearing from a lot of people that I know that are connecting with me, that are saying, it's amazing, I'm doing more meditating now and I'm getting all this information, or I'm feeling I know the answers to things. I'm like, because they have you now 100% in there.
Yeah.
In their way.
It's neat too when you receive the validations and you continue to look around more intently, or be more open to receiving those little messages, the little validations.
I love that.
It really is exciting.
I say that we get sent messages all the time from
Yeah,
spirit, and just
definitely.
sometimes we're in so much busyness. And this is why sometimes people get more messages when they're in sleep state, because
Mhm.
spirit go, we have them 100% here. Let's just tap
Finally.
in and get to them and just remind them of some certain things. So,
Mhm.
if you get that feather that you see ahead of you, or the bird that keeps on coming and jumping on your windowsill for no
Mhm.
apparent reason, just take a moment to acknowledge that. I always say, thank you, Spirit, for sending me the message, even if at that moment I don't know what the message is.
Yes. Yes. It goes back to that gratitude that you
Hmm.
were sharing with us earlier. When I receive little messages like that, I also thank you,
Yeah.
acknowledge them because they do mean something.
Yeah.
There is a message there for us.
Yeah. And, you know, with people, because some people say, yeah, but I'm not really good at meditating. I said, well, this is, I think we've had this perceived idea that a meditation needs to be an arduous journey of sitting in the Zen position with cross legs on a hard floor for hours at a time. And it doesn't have to be that hard. I always say to people, especially at the moment, anywhere that is, go out and lay on the grass in your backyard or in a park. I don't know what it's like in the US, but in Canada now, the parks are being opened up again. Yes, social distancing applies. Go and lay on the grass, look
Mhm.
up at the clouds. Allow
Yeah.
yourself to just be absorbed by the shapes, the what's happening there. In that dreamy like state, I can remember doing that as a kid. We just lay on the grass and be
Right.
chewing a piece of grass and looking up at the clouds, and we see a
Not a
train or a
care in the
plane. Or
world. Yeah.
absolutely. So this is the kind of thing. Do that. Go for a walk in nature. Hug a tree. Place your feet in a river, a pool, a pond, a paddling pool, even, and connect with that feeling. Go out and look at the stars at night if you're not in what I call an urbanized surrounding. We live in sort of a very light influence, so we don't get to see the stars, but we can go out a little bit. Go and watch the ocean or a river or waterfall or something like that. That's
Mhm.
as good as a meditation. You're in the intention of doing that. And if you're taking a phone along, just take it along for a piece of music or for taking photographs.
Yeah.
Don't allow that pinging, tinging, distractive
Turn your
interruption that happens,
notifications off.
because you're
Yes.
not there. You're not in that status. You know, I have meditations that you can find on my YouTube channel. There's some free ones on there. There's some short ones. They're guided meditations. Help yourself. If it helps you, or listen to a nice piece of music. There's
It
so much,
really
so
Yeah,
much that
the
we can
advice
do.
is great. It's so good, especially when people comment, because I don't know if you know, but I own a new age metaphysical spiritual healing
Oh,
center.
I didn't know that.
I do. That's what I do during the day. So we have a lot of people come in, and we teach we teach
Mm,
classes, guided meditations, and how to meditate. And we always get that comment. I don't know how. I can't quiet my mind.
yeah.
And it's so neat to see them light up when they realize that that's not what meditation is about. And when they go and have an experience and come back and share it with us, it's so neat. It's so
Yeah.
neat what they have to share with us, because the light bulb goes on and it changes
Hmm.
them. It literally changes them. They learn to slow down and really absorb the
Yeah.
energy, like that really yummy energy you're talking about, by putting
Yes.
your feet in the grass or
Yes.
playing at the lake or whatever that looks like. They're taking the
Yes.
pause, and
Yeah.
that's good
Yeah.
medicine.
And if you have young children, lay them on the grass beside you. Get them to look up at the clouds. And I'm telling you, it becomes very addictive. It truly does. The other thing that I say to people if they're not very good at meditating and things like that is grab some colored crayons and just sit there and do what I call the circles on paper. Where you start off with a little dot in the middle, and then you just draw the circle going bigger and bigger like a spiral.
Mhm.
Just do that. It's very cathartic. It's very
Yes.
meditative. Or grab a coloring book. There are these awesome uh, abilities to do these lovely mandalas and color those in. Do one of
Mhm.
those or create your own. There's so many different ways. I always say with meditation, not one size fits all. You have infinite possibilities.
infinite,
Absolutely
literally.
infinite.
And that's one of my favorite ways to meditate is to doodle.
Yes.
And I do mandala art. That's my favorite way to meditate. It's just soothing and relaxing. I highly recommend coloring or anything like that.
And again, if you've got young children, they can be doing their coloring. You can be doing your coloring. You're making it a family or a get together or whatever, and just let them do their thing and do yours. And if you're feeling frustrated, then grab the piece of paper and just scribble on it. That's what I always say.
Whatever it needs to be.
If it needs to be, and that's how you're feeling all pent up and angry about something, then grab it and, just scribble across it. And then I always say, sit back and actually look at what you've created, because you've still created something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it doesn't have to look and be a certain way. We always have this idea in our heads that it needs to be perfection, but not even close.
I loved when I was living in British Columbia, I used to get together with a group of friends and we would do vision boards. Yeah. And I'm one of those people that I can find all the shapes and sizes and things like that, but I'm not very good at actually putting it together on the board. And at that time, the friend that was with me, she said, "You're overthinking it." I said, "I know I am." She said, "I'll get you started." And she just took some glue and slapped this thing right in the middle. And she said, "That's where you wanted it." And I said, "Well, not quite." She said, "Well, that's where you got it. Now do the rest." And it was so much fun. But it was, because she was an artist, and I'm telling you, she could create something out of a torn piece of paper that would look like a Mona Lisa. She was she still is a very gifted artist. But it was for me, because I'm like, when you create yours, it just looks so beautiful. And she said, it doesn't matter. You're putting on there what you want. And where it goes, it doesn't matter. It's like, I think it's that initial getting that first item onto the piece of paper or the piece of card that is always the hardest. We don't want to make a mistake. We don't want to screw it up. And I think that's very much the same in life, that we're like, well, I'd rather wait until somebody can either show me or help me with it than actually take that step forward and make the mistake. And I'm going, in this case, there were no mistakes. And it actually turned out, because she said, "Oh my gosh, you've got so much on there. There's all this stuff on there." I said, "Yes, because I wanted it to be more than just what it was." So
I love the process too, the layers when you're creating. It definitely is my favorite pastime. So I could talk about this for hours, but I paint with my hands. I do intuitive painting. I smudge my canvas, really get into a meditative state, and then I close my eyes and start painting with my fingers. And that way I get out of my head space so I can create from my heart space. Yeah. And when I open my eyes, there's a lot of times I'm like, "Oh, wow, what was that?" That's crazy. But it's fun to add more layers and do textures and like really, change it. And that's just like with anything else I feel like we experience in life. The first time is never what we would conceive as perfection. But when we tweak it here or add a little of this here, take away that, it ends up being something that we really love.
Yes. And you were saying about painting with fingers. That was... I had a reading with somebody on Prince Edward Island in Canada some years, the year before I created the Oracle deck, and we did an exchange of readings, and she said she was doing it with paints, and she said, "Oh, you get to choose some paints, and then you put them on your fingers, and then you just blob them on a piece of paper, and then you fold the paper in half, and then it creates an image, and then I do the reading from that." And I never experienced anything like that before, but oh my God, it was so much fun. And that was there, and I'm looking at it, and it's sort of like one of the Freudian images, the ink block images, but it was all these lovely colors that I had chosen. I was only allowed to choose 3 colors, and I wanted to choose more. So there was all that element in it. It's like there's so many colors to choose from, and I'm like, well, I want to have all of them. She said, "You can only have 3." This whole aspect, and of course that was all part of the journey and part of the reading, which I was very aware of at that time. And it was actually her that said, Spirit telling you here that you've got to create something. And I'm going, like, create what? Give me a hint here. You'll be given this information. When? I'm very much a ask the questions I want to know now. And and she said, no, they're just, you've got to get on and do this. You've been basically sitting around and not getting on with this, and there's so much that they want to share with you. So I said, okay, well, I'm open, as you know. I do the work that I do, but I'm completely open to see what they're going to share with me. And that was when they started to share about creating an oracle deck. And this is in 2000 and I think it was 2011, 2012. And I'm like, okay, you've got the wrong person here, and at that point,
that was not on your agenda.
It was not on my agenda. It was nowhere near on my agenda. I had no clue what an oracle deck would look like. Yeah. And, and of course, as me at that time, Doreen Virtue was very much in the eyes of everybody. And I'm kind of, Doreen Virtue, she's down in California. You got the wrong person. And, I could feel my guides and helpers just standing there with their arms crossed like, yeah. Okay, well,
little did you know she was on her way out. Yeah.
I know. And that, in one way, it was almost like, did they have the insider information that they were wanting to create the deck, and from there other decks would come forth? I have no idea. And I still live in that moment of awe that when the deck started coming through, I was getting all these titles, first of all. And of course, I've worked with oracle decks, I've worked with tarot decks and all of those beautiful things, angel cards and affirmation decks and things like that. And I'm like, okay, I'll go with it. Give me the titles. And I was sort of doing this negotiation thing. Let's just see where this goes. I'm going to commit to the effort and the energy. And it was almost like the light switch was put on. I couldn't stop writing. It was just like download of information.
That is so exciting. More validation.
Oh, yeah.
I love that you brought this up just before the break, because the whole next part of the show, the next half of the show, I want to focus on your creation and the rest of your story, because I was blessed with the deck from you. Thank you so very much. I've had so much fun with this deck. It's one of the most beautiful decks I've ever had. I put it in my top 3 that I'm going to be playing with because it just feels so good. It feels so good. We're going to take a quick break though, Debbie. And when we get back, I want to continue to hear the story on how this vision came to you, this gift from Spirit and the creation thereof. So stay close, everyone. We'll be right back.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day. Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late. We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Mainstream media's most wanted. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Soul Wanderings here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, Salt Lake City, Utah, Hudson Valley, New York. Soul Wanderings can be found on all of the listening platforms, whatever one you choose, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, or you can find the latest show archives right on the official KGRA Radio on YouTube, or you can find them on soulwanderings.com. If you're enjoying the show, I would love for you to share with your pals. Of course, invite them all, because the more the merrier. We have beautiful messages to share every week, and I wouldn't want them to miss out. Tonight we are wandering with Debbie A. Anderson. She's clairvoyant and medium, and she is the creator of Vibrational Energy. And right before the break, she is getting started down this journey with how this all began, the Vibrational Energy deck, Oracle deck. And I was just going to say, and I'm sitting here playing with your cards right now again. I've been playing with them for days. I really like them.
Yeah. And before, but we were actually talking off mic here, and the one thing that you were saying was that you love the simplicity of them, and that was the big thing at that time. I've always intuitively read cards. I'm very blessed to be able to do that, and everybody is blessed to do that if they stick to it. And the one thing with the Vibrational Energy Oracle deck was the simplicity. There's only a short amount of words on there, because Spirit really wanted us to tap into our own intuition to get the rest of the story, if you like. And because the cards are so full of amazing graphics, even the step of the journey creating the deck has such an amazing synchronicity to the way it all came together. When I was looking, I had got all the words I'd got, because there were 52 cards, and I must admit I was getting a little concerned that I was going to have War and Peace, and anybody buying this deck was going to need a little cart to carry it around with them, because it felt like it was never going to end. I'm used to Oracle decks being like 30 or 40 or 44 cards,
right.
Not a large deck of 52. So when I got all the words and everything, and it was funny because at that point Chris and I were on tour, and we had stopped in some places on our way across Canada, and then we tend to stop in sometimes on the way back. And I had been talking to somebody on the way over, and she said, how are you doing? I said, well, I'm still writing at the moment. And she said, have you found an artist? I said, no, I haven't, but we'll see. Came back, and I had contacted a few artists, and I really couldn't resonate with any of them. And this same person said, how are you doing? I said, all the writing's finished. Now I need to find the artist. And she said, oh, I think I might have somebody that will be aligned to what you're doing. I said, oh, really? And she said, she's in Calgary. Her name's Heather Brewster. You should connect with her. I said, sure, okay. So I went and had a look at her website, and I loved some of the work. I just felt this resonance with her straight away. And so I emailed her, and she emailed back really quickly, and she said, this is too weird. She said, I've been thinking that I'd love to do an Oracle deck. I'm like, yay, that's the person. His spirit obviously
Another
talking to her,
synchronicity.
and talking to me. So I said to her, well, so she said, well, and of course, all these conversations went on over email and then a couple of phone calls and things like that. I never actually met Heather at that point before she created the artwork. But, she said, well, what do you want? And I said, well, Spirit is telling me here, a bit like the Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. When I find the right artist, they'll know what to do. I've done my part with the words. And the artist is going to connect with the words and they're going to create the imagery. And she said, well, that's curious. I said, yeah, I'm in total trust here, but I'm not found anybody that's aligned to that. So she said, well, there's a lot of words. So I said, look, let me send you all of the words that I've created. Just pick one and see what, if it sings to you, and then come back to me with what you feel that should look like. Well, I left it with her. I don't know how many days I left it with her. It was very quickly she came back and she'd done 3 images.
That quickly.
Absolutely, because she said, and I'm like, I didn't expect 3, and she'd done abundant blessings, as above, so below, and the other one was dream catchers.
That's one of my favorite parts.
As soon as I saw all of those 3 cards, I'm like, as soon as I saw the first one, I'm like, you're in, we're done. This is it. And so, because she said, are you sure? And I said, I don't even need to make any edits or changes. You captured exactly my words in this imagery. Perfect. And so, it was just one of those where it all just came together. And then it was a case of, should I self-publish or try and find a publisher? And at that point, I had reached out to Blue Angel in Australia. And they were saying, well, we love your work, but we've already committed to an artist this year. Come back and, contact us next year. And I'm like, oh, and I'm going, okay, Spirit. And they're like, no, we need to get this done now. You need to get it out now. I'm like, okay, and how are we going to do that? We being me. You're in Spirit. Right, you're telling me to do all this stuff, and it's me that's doing this. I'm on the front line here. I'm on the ground doing this. And I sat down with my husband. He said, well, why don't you self-publish? I said, oh my God, I haven't even thought about the what's going to happen or how or any of these things. And so anyway, I self-published. I met up with a printer in Vancouver at that time, and he was all excited. He'd never done anything like this before, and it was a journey, an absolute journey. And I thought, okay, well, now I've got them being printed. How on earth am I going to get them out there? I don't want to be one of these people that does this. What do they call it?
A pusher.
Yeah, the one that has a garage full of all these decks and giving them to friends for the rest of their lives, kind of thing. So my husband, he said, we'll go on tour. I said, sure, okay. So we actually measured the trunk of our vehicle at that time to work out how many decks we could get into it.
Oh my goodness.
That was how my first order was generated. We measured it, calculated out the volume, then literally filled the trunk. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of decks. That's a lot of stuff to get rid of. And we had decided, we were living in British Columbia at the time in the Lower Mainland, to go from British Columbia across to Newfoundland. Now, anybody that knows Canada, that's a lot of territory to cover. So, friends along the way were saying, okay, I'll take you to some stores. And I had no sale pitch. I am not a salesperson. I truly am not. So it built up, and then I had to order more decks. I had to ship them out to where we were. Like, we got to the edge of British Columbia, and we had sold almost all the decks in the trunk. And there were 500
my goodness.
decks. So, and there were more, and I'm like, I'm running out of decks here, and we've got to get them to us. And we were, this whole coordination thing, it all came together. I love the way Spirit made that happen. Mm-hmm. And we just kept selling and selling and selling. And so that gave me, I think, the reminder that people like the deck, the simplicity of it, the imagery on it, what it means that they can do for themselves. There's so many elements to it that I feel so blessed. I truly do. And, from that deck came the Vibrational Earth Children's deck, which was primarily for children 8 years and upwards, although a lot of people are using it for inner child work. That's okay. But it is really a children's deck because there are childlike writings in there and affirmations for children to connect with, and everyday things that children and parents get interconnected with, like helping people, bad manners, doing chores,
right,
technology, being respectful, all of those kind of things. So there were all of those. And then the 2 affirmation decks came from that. So yeah, I just, we talk about synchronicity and we don't understand the ability that we have. I was saying in the break that sometimes people go, well, I Spirit sort of guided me to go on this workshop or this course, and I get there and it was okay, but I didn't feel it was what I needed. I'm like, but what else did you see? Who did you meet? Who did you talk to? What are the amazing elements? It isn't necessarily the destination. Sometimes it's the journey getting there. Who did you talk to? Who did you connect? These are the things sometimes we miss. And, I'll share the story of how I met my husband. And this was in England. I was in England, and when Spirit want us to do something or achieve something, they do make it a lot easier for us. And at that time, my friend there said, oh, there's this guy coming over from Canada. He's a past life regression. He's doing a past life workshop. Do you want to go? And I said, oh, yes, I'd really love to. It'd be really interesting. And of course, I said to her, okay. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I've double booked here. I'm already committed to something. She said, well, there's only a few spots. I said, well, pay my money and fingers crossed I can go. The next day I got a call from the friend that I had arranged that I was going to be with. And she said, I've double booked. And I laughed. And I said, that is too funny. So anyway, the long and the short of it was, I went to the workshop, and there was no bells and whistles. For anybody that's going, this is some kind of romantic novel. It was not. When I met him, I loved his work and what he did, but he certainly wasn't the guy for me as what I saw. But things happened after that. But here's the thing. My friend had heard about the workshop. This is where synchronicity comes in. She'd heard about the work from somebody else, who then told her, who then told me that I went on this workshop. So I was meant to be there to meet this man, to do this workshop. Again, at that time, I didn't feel it was him I was there for. I really enjoyed it. I got over a couple of fears that I had, and then continued on. But it's all those little synchronicities, all those little things that are put into place. And it's funny the way afterwards, we had sat down, I'd had a private session with him, and we were sitting there, we had a coffee, and he said, it's funny, I'm traveling back to Canada tomorrow, but it's funny that we've only just met. And I said, yeah. And I said, where have you been? And then I realized he'd been at the metaphysical center that I worked out of, the healing center, and places that I had been that he had been. And I'm going, oh my gosh, how could we have not met each other or bumped into each other?
Wow.
And so this is the synchronicity. They made it all happen. Obviously, we were supposed to meet. And even at the time when he was talking and sort of saying things, I think we have a lot in common. And I was going, no, I don't think we do. I think it's that little protective layer we have around ourselves, that we're like, okay, yeah, whatever. You can sweet talk me all things. But everything seemed to fall into place. So we were obviously meant to meet at that time.
Yeah. I love that.
And when we have these things that happen, these synchronicities, we go on this workshop, it's not the workshop. Maybe it's the person we meet. I went on a friend talked me into going on a Pilates day workshop. I had no idea what Pilates was, but I went along, and it was, I didn't realize you lay on a piece of cardboard. No, it's not. It's like a little mat, but it's very thin, and you put your head on a block of wood, which is not a block. You can see I'm not a Pilates kind of person, but what came from it, there were 2 other ladies there that I got to meet, and we had a fun day. the instructors were so lovely, and there were meditations and other things to do with this workshop, which were absolutely amazing. But the actual Pilates part, I think the instructor realized there were three of us there that hadn't a clue of what we'd let ourselves in for, but we were willingly there, even though, that rolling over and trying to get up kind of thing. And it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this was quite a process that you have to do it. You think, oh, it's just laying on a mat, but
oh no, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And I should have, now I said to the friend afterwards, I said, this has made me very aware that in future, before I say, yeah, count me in, I'm going to check this out. But again, the location of it was so beautiful as well. I got some amazing insights when I was sitting outside looking across Lake St. Clair. Got to meet some wonderful people there. So this is where we have to, when we gather, if it isn't what we think it is, then open your heart and see what else is there, because that's the only way we're ever going to understand why I was led that particular place at that time. Because we're never in the wrong place at the wrong time. We're always in the right place. There are no mistakes, absolutely no mistakes whatsoever.
My whole world has expanded so much by learning that. It wasn't until maybe 5-6 years ago that was shared with me that that experience could be possible or is possible. Mind blown. And my every experience ever since is different now. You really absorb the in the moment experience more so than before knowing.
Well, especially for me, if I end up going the wrong way, I'm going, okay, eyes open. What am I supposed to see? Because it's like, okay, I turned left instead of right. Now, obviously, to get where I need to go, I've got to go a little bit around the houses. But so I look at it in a different way. I don't look at it in a way of, oh, that's an inconvenience. It isn't. There's something that I'm going to see or experience en route, or I'm going to find out there was a hold up or an accident that happened.
Yes.
And years ago in England, this is just one of many experiences where sometimes when we get delayed from things and we get frustrated, which I did at the time, I was working in corporate world and I was rushing to get myself to work and I couldn't find the car keys.
Well, that could frustrate anyone, corporate and not finding your car keys.
Yeah. And I was a little bit late leaving that morning as it was. So I'm going, okay, I've only got a small little flat. They can't have gone far, so I'm turning up everything, turning out my purse, all the things we do. And then I found them right back where I had looked in the first place. It's like spirit had made them disappear. So I get in my car, and then I know by the time I got in my car, I knew I was going to be late for work. So I'm trying to think of all those excuses of like the cat ate my homework and, those kind of things that we would do. So I'm driving to work and it was like everything I caught every single light. The traffic was just horrendous. And I'm just sitting there going it's getting later and later and later. And then I heard on the radio that there had been a very bad intersection accident on a train. The automatic barriers that came down didn't come down, and somebody had crossed the line and the train had hit them.
Wow.
And at that point, everything just washed away from me because it was the route I took. And I can't say for sure it would have been my vehicle, but it would have been pretty darn close.
You can't chalk those experiences away as a coincidence.
No. And when we take those coincidences and realize that, yes, I was obviously late, there was no apparent reason why I couldn't find the car keys. And I only had one set of car keys. So it was like, they would go in a dish by the door when I came in, and that was it, So when those kind of things happen, and I hear this from people that either didn't catch a plane for a certain reason or didn't decided to go a different route or that kind of thing, there when we're pulled away, that's those whisperings that when I was talking about at the beginning, that when spirit whisper in our ear or they try and move us away from things. So there are no coincidences, there are no happenings that just happen because they are all divinely placed there for us. And, you know, taking your car keys away, I know I'm not the only person that experienced something like this.
Right.
So
No,
just
I think
think
it happens to all of us. We just don't take the pause and understand what is really happening.
And I must admit, I did go into work that day and say that I had been late leaving. And my boss just looked at me. He said, well, you wouldn't have got here anyway. I said, I know. And he also looked at me, realizing it could have been my vehicle at that point, because that was a particular crossing that I went across every single day. I must admit, from there on, I used to double check, even though, you know, they're supposed to automatically, the barriers are supposed to come down. I always stopped and looked every way when I crossed, you know, those kind of train intersections. So maybe that was also part of it as well, that awareness of, you know, sometimes we're rushing too much that we miss those small things that are very, very important to us.
And just think how many stories there are similar to this.
Yeah.
We all, I'm fairly sure we all have an experience that we could share where we just barely missed a different experience for us.
Yeah.
Or it could have been a different story.
Or we happened to go to that coffee shop and that's the person we met that we ended up marrying.
And there you go. I love that story, though. I'm so happy for both of you.
Yeah, it is quite a fun story at the time. You know, he tells it when he's doing his talks and things of how he met me, and he always jokingly says, I was allowed to bring back so much duty free and I didn't even have to carry her. Yes, my wonderful hero.
A little bit off topic. We do have a question from the chat room, and I like to gather them as I can.
Yes, please.
I'm not familiar with this question, but you may be. They were wondering if you have ever experienced the Wiltshire rings.
Okay, are you talking about like the fairy rings?
Well, where I'm not familiar, I just pulled it up. It's in Wiltshire, England. So I'm not familiar with what that is, what experience that is, but maybe they'll say so in chat.
In Wiltshire, of course, there is the Stonehenges in Wiltshire and Avebury's in Wiltshire. Okay. And I've been blessed. I was one of those children that grew up and we were able to go to Stonehenge before it was all fenced off, and we jumped on the rocks and stones and things like that.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was just fun. Nowadays, you look at it from afar and only pagans are allowed in for particular rituals. But Avebury is lots of circles of stones that are there that are very much open to the public. And if anybody is ever going to Avebury, and it's Avebury, in case my accent has confused everybody, some of the stones there in the circle, when you stand very close to them, it's like going into a vortex of a different dimension.
Okay, he is confirming, yes, the stone rings.
Yes, I love going there. You know, every time I go back to England, and I haven't been back for a few years now, I try to make a pilgrimage there, and I call it a pilgrimage because usually it's in the midst of winter, which is not the nicest time, but it's the best time because there's not crowds of people there. And there's a lovely tree that overlooks the rings there. And of course, if you look at the aerial view of the Avebury rings and all of that, you know, there's still this indication of starships and that kind of thing. And I'm open to all of that because I truly don't believe that we're the most intelligent beings on any planet. So
thank goodness for that.
I hope we're not, because if we are, then we've got a lot to make up for. But yeah,
Absolutely.
when we were there, you know, we were actually leant against a rock to try and get some warmth because the wind, it was in January and it was quite cold. And at that point I was saying to my husband, I'm really looking forward to the pub at this point because I know they've got a lovely roaring fire there and we're going to have a nice beer and something hot to put in our bellies. And we were leant against some particular rocks there, and both of us looked at each other and afterwards, and I said, I don't know about you, but I certainly was not in this dimension. He said, no, I felt like I was being pulled back into time somewhere, and it was quite. So then we had to go and experience some of the other rocks, and some had them and some didn't. So it's if you get a chance to go there, do so. And there's actually a wood ring which I've never visited, which is, I think, in a similar area. But there are so many folklore tales of fairy rings in different places around the UK, especially in Sussex area. That's where I did a lot of my, that was a lot of my stomping ground in Sussex. And a lot of the forests there are noted for their magical fairy rings and things like that. And, if you're going expecting to see an actual ring of fairies, it's not like that. It can sometimes be a ring of trees. It can be a ring of stones. It can just be a breaking in the forest where there's just green grass there. I can remember growing up in Surrey when we lived at my grandparents' house for some time, and up the property used to go up into woodland, and I can remember keep on talking to my mother about this secret garden that I found up in there. And of course, it obviously was a house that had fallen down, and there was obviously some brick walls and things like that, but there's always this garden with all this lush green grass and flowers in it. And I would disappear there. My mum would say, where did you go? And I said, to the secret garden. And of course, now I understand that it was like spirit, but at that time I truly didn't understand it to be that.
Oh, how magical.
Yeah. So, and I went back some years later when I was in my adult life to try and find it, but people kept on saying, well, what old house? And of course by then 20 years have gone past, so the chances are it's been ripped up completely and there's nothing there. But I try to retrace steps and things like that, and I can never find it. So I'm concluding to this day that maybe it was just a magical place in my mind as a child that I'd created, because it was just a way to escape all the the things that were going on in life at that time. So, but yes, I have. And if you do get a chance, do go, because there's some amazing, the UK,
energy.
Yeah, there is. And sadly, some of the energy, if you look at it in the historical fact, is where they burnt witches and things like that because of all the witch trials in those days. But because of the
I'm
old
going to have to research this some more.
Yes. It's funny, when my husband and I were many years ago, we were in Hay-on-Wye, I think it is. It's almost the border from Wales to England, and we went hunting for a church that was a Templars church, and it wasn't on any maps, but we had heard about it. So I literally just guided us in psychically, and when we arrived at this particular church, you had to walk through a field to find it. And the person said, oh, are you part of the party that's come for this historical thing? And we said, no, we're not. We just sort of came upon it, but we actually got an extra little tour. So, again, the synchronicity of how did we turn up on the one day that this church was open?
It's so neat.
It was absolutely wonderful. We, those are the kind of journeys I like. We hadn't, because my husband even said to me, how are we going to find this? The GPS is not finding it. So I said, well, we're going to do it the old fashioned way. We're going to do it. I'm going to close my eyes and just tell you to turn left or turn right. And of course,
that's how you did it.
That's literally it. And there's all these little narrow lanes. So we were going along and you can't see anything. We would every so often stop the vehicle and look over the hedgerows, and all we could see was fields and fields. And but yeah,
it's really neat. The stories that you have to share, they're just so fun. I really am enjoying getting to know you and hear your stories. We're going to take our last break for the evening, and when we get back, we'll continue to share some time with you. Stay close, everyone. We'll be here shortly.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right. Construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
Ew, yuck. They're unhealthy and gross. Bugs, I hate bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. From contact, it kills bugs. Plus, Orange Guard kills hidden bugs and keeps new bugs away for weeks. I know. I use Orange Guard. Plus, all of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally regarded as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It promotes a healthier planet, and here's a bonus. Orange Guard cleans where it's sprayed. Plus, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard.
You can get Orange Guard at Ace Hardware. And listen, folks, Orange Guard is tougher than bugs, and it's safe to use. Go to orangeguard.com. That's orangeguard.com.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Now you have the inside contact for alternative talk radio. The Planet. KGRAradio.com.
Hello, welcome back to Soul Wanderings. I am AJ Rasmussen, your host this evening, and we are visiting with a very lovely guest, Debbie A. Anderson, a clairvoyant medium and creator of Vibrational Energy Oracle Deck, as well as a few others. And we just had a moment where we got to hear about your decks, but didn't really quite get into it and all of the opportunities there are within the 4 decks. So I want to make sure, Debbie, that we do have that time with you to share some more on your beautiful creation.
Thank you, AJ. So the Vibrational Energy Oracle Deck, as we discussed earlier on, was made with complete simplicity. And I always say that there is just 3 easy steps to using the deck. And here's the thing I always say, connect with the question, what do you want to get out of the reading you're going to do for yourself using the deck? And this is where I say this intention, intention, intention. Close your eyes, center on what you're about to do, and just focus on what you're needing, what you're requiring. And, you know, just step into the intention, be there, be present fully to connect. The next thing is connect with the deck. And, you know, so many people say to me, so is there a right way to shuffling a deck? Is there a right way? Should I cut the cards here, left, right? And you know, there are no set rules of engagement. All I say to anybody is when you've got a new deck, take some time to move the cards around, because they'll either be in numerical order or in minor and alphabetical order. So mix them up, and you can do it in so many different ways. You can shuffle like a poker player. You can lay them on the table and scoof them all together and mix them like kids do, which sometimes I always feel is the best way when I've got the cards all in alphabetical. You can shuffle them. You can cut them into 2, 3, 4 piles, whatever. And
One thing I did notice about your deck, sorry to interrupt, but for those who have never played with an Oracle deck before, this deck is a perfect starter deck.
Oh, thank you.
It really is, because it is so simple.
Yeah.
And it allows you to build your intuition.
That is the big thing. The definitions are very short and sweet, and because the imagery and the potential there allows you to open up to your intuitive resources there. And when you're shuffling a deck, if a card jumps out or several cards jump out, stop shuffling. You've got what you need. That's all you need. And if you feel when you're going through the cards, if you sometimes I lay mine out in a circle or a long line and just run my hand over the top of the backs and forwards until I feel that essence of stop, this is the card, like pick me, I'm the one you want. So we just have to let it happen. And if cards keep reappearing again and again and again, the same card, wow, that's a very, very clear message. I can remember when I first was touring and taking the decks out to different stores to do sort of meet and greets and share the deck. I would get people to come along and pick a card, and then I would share the definition with them and, give them an insight to what the deck was about. And this particular lady came and she says, well, I'm waiting for my mum and my daughter to come. They're going to be a few more minutes. I said, oh, that's okay. You can shuffle the deck and go and grab your coffee or whatever and sit down and wait for them. So she shuffled the deck and a card came out, and she went and sat down. And so a few more people had come along, played with the deck. Then her daughter arrived. And mum came up and I said, well, you can have another go if you like. And she said, oh, sure, okay. And the same card came out again. And of course, then she was sharing with the daughter. So, of course, when Grandma arrived, the daughter was like, come on, Grandma, you must play too. And come on, Mum, see if you can get the same card. Well, Mum got the same card the third time. And I said to her, my goodness, this is a really clear message you're getting here. And Spirit wanted you to hear it 3 times. So take note of it. So what I'm saying here is if you keep getting the same card, if you're shuffling, that is very significant. It's very important that you take note of it. So the third part is connecting to the card. So the card's chosen for you, and there are no wrong choices. It seems that Spirit always chooses the right card. And that's when we get the opportunity to contemplate and reflect on what it means to you. It's like, does the title of the card shout out something, or the imagery? And what, does it connect with what's going on in your life at the moment, or the question that you've asked? Basically, what it's telling you, how are you emotionally feeling? What do you sense and feel? Because this is, again, tapping into your intuition. Are you feeling it resonates? Are you feeling a little anxious? Are you feeling happy? That's the card. And I always say, write down whatever comes to mind. And notice I say to mind, even if it seems totally out of context. When I do card readings for myself, I pull the card, I write the date down, I write the name of the card on it, and then I'll write all the information. Then at the end of it, I'll write how I was feeling that particular day. Was I feeling anxious? Was I feeling happy? Was I feeling I needed answers to things? All of those kind of things. So the biggest part, sorry.
I like that you journal it. That's really neat.
Yeah, and with the apps, it actually has a journal feature in the app, so you can journal your card that you
I love that feature.
pull, so you can do that. So,
yes.
And my deck is not all the fluffy cards. There are some in there that intentionally jump out and make you question, and that's all that it's about. And here's the thing: if you use an Oracle deck and you're asking a question and you don't like the card you've got, it's no good pushing it back in there and shuffling again until you get the card you want. That's not how it works. You need to put the deck down and go away and do something else because you're trying to make it fit.
Right.
The first card you get is
I've done that.
the card. Oh gosh, guilty as charged. I've done it myself when I'm going through a rough patch. Is this guy, is the marriage going to work out? No. Oh no, I don't like the answer to that. No, I don't like the answer to that. We've all done it. It's part of the process, but you'll notice you're going to do it as many times as you want. And if you've gone past 2 cards and you're still getting the same or similar kind of answers with the cards, then you really have to accept, acknowledge, or do what it is, because you're not going to get the answer that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say that the cards created by Spirit have a balance of both the nice, the soft, and the more harsher elements. Not harsher as in horrid, but the end of days card. I would love getting that in a reading, because for me, when I see that in a reading, it means that something's coming to an end. So when something comes to an end, something new fills the void.
Yes.
We can let go and move on. And the end of days card, I always think, is the most beautiful one in there, because there's so much imagery within it. And every time I look at that, I see something different. There's a crown in there. There's a person sitting in a Zen position. There's a butterfly. There's a face. There's all these different things, and I could go on. There's so many different elements in it, because it's one of those that says, this is not just the end. Look at all the infinite possibilities that you have coming up for you.
I like that about your cards also. As much as they are simplistic in the meaning, if you look at the cards, there's tons of meaning, like a lot more than you have written down. And I think obviously that was planned, because that helps you build your intuition. Just by looking at the card, you can tell a story from the artwork without even having to look at the book. Although the book is very nice to have because of your messages.
I always say it's like the blankie.
Yeah,
the blankie that we need sometimes. I don't think that's what it means. And when I teach this course to people how to use it, the first thing they do is get the guidebook out, and I say, put it away. And they look at me, and I can see little eyes, like deer caught in the headlights. And I go, you'll probably never even use that book again. It's there as a guide. And
the end of days card is actually very beautiful. I can see there's tons of significance in that.
Yeah, there's so many. And the knowing card, there's so many aspects. There's so much sacred geometry within the cards here.
Yeah.
That, I was teaching a class last night, and one lady was saying that, while at the beginning, because they were given homework, it was over 2 evenings, and she was saying, it's funny, the card shift, it keeps coming up, and we all laughed. And I said, you're getting it, aren't you? She said, oh yeah, I'm getting it. She said, but I wish they would give me another card. And I said, well, they're making sure that you have acknowledged that that's what's going on, and you need to be shifting. She was shifting things. And that was the beautiful part about it. So I think, the joy about using any Oracle deck, and I say any Oracle deck because you don't have to just buy mine, is put the guidebook to one side and just allow your intuition to open up. And even if you're not sure, go and look at the book afterwards, but try and do it that way first. That's the way I love
good advice.
And that's the way I like to teach, because years ago, I used to always use tarot cards, and I wanted to learn how to do it properly. I've been using it for many years, and I went on this course and then found out that obviously I was doing it wrong, not as a guidebook or the instructor was telling us, but I was getting the right results. And as I shared with you earlier, obviously it wasn't the workshop I was supposed to go on to learn from, but it was the people that I met there that then made a significant change and connected with me in my life. So again, it was a great workshop because I met all these wonderful people, but I also a recognition to me that Spirit was saying, you don't need this, you're doing it the right way. And that's all that matters, because I was intuitively connecting with Spirit and getting the information that way. So sometimes we need that as validation, and that's okay.
It really is helpful. But literally, when I tell everyone I've showed these cards to, look at these cards, they're just the way that they feel. some cards you can really feel the vibration from, and the name speaks for itself in this case. And some, they're just pictures and words.
Yeah.
At least in my experience. I've played with a lot of decks.
Yeah.
This just feels really good. I'm really enjoying the artwork. I did a couple of readings for my neighbors and my partner last night. It was a lot of fun. The Perfect Storm card is so breathtaking to me.
Yes.
I really love that card.
I love Refuge as well, because there's so many infinite possibilities there. Because, at the moment, are we inside or just looking out, or outside looking in? It's just so many. And go to the light. And I love this. People say, and the Release card. There's so much imagery within that card, and it's important that we realize that sometimes when we're holding on to stuff, it's not good for us, but as soon as we let it go, everything starts flowing again.
Do you know what I thought was neat is, after going through your deck, I found a card that just kept jumping out every time I would play with it, and it was the Dreamcatchers card. I don't know what it is about it. It just keeps popping up, and it's so beautiful. And then I go to gather the 3 sample cards you sent to me, and the one that you wrote on was the Dreamcatchers card.
Yeah. And I
flipped it over, and I was like, oh my goodness.
And there's no coincidence, because some people, when they buy directly from me, I try to include an autographed card for them. And sometimes people email me and say, how did you know?
It's really
like,
neat.
I shuffle a deck I have, and I pull out a card, and then I write on the back of it, and then I turn it over. So I have no idea.
No coincidences.
Yeah, no coincidences. Spirit led every single step of the way, and that's what I love about it, because there's not me coming into it in my ego. It's just my higher self just going, okay, these are the cards. This is the one going out to the person, and it's obviously it's going to resonate with them in some way.
Yeah, it's really neat. In fact, I want to share, just so everyone understands, how short these messages can be if you are using the book. But in regards to the Dreamcatchers, it says, without sleep, there are no dreams. Without dreams, there is no future. Take time out to visualize your dreams and manifest them into the reality. Every time you sleep, the vibration is open to you if you want to take a glimpse into into the unknown and create what you want. Take the steps in dream state and see them as the now truth. That is so neat.
Yes. And again, with the words, they're not my words. I always say I'm just a tool. I'm just a tool, and the person that puts the information together, like Heather Brewster being the artist, that was synchronistically connected, because I had connected with a few artists, and that's happened with all of my decks. In fact, I wanted Heather to work on the second deck, but she was commissioned to do some other work, so she couldn't do it. So I worked with Kim Dreyer, and she's an amazing graphic artist out of in South Africa. And here's what I love when I'm looking for something now. I sit down at my laptop and I sit with the intention of what I'm trying to achieve. And this, so anybody listening, this is something you can do yourself. Sit there with the intention. What am I going on the internet to look for? What is my goal? And then I'll put in some keywords, and then I'll just let Spirit find the right pages, the right information for me. And this is how I found Kim Dreyer. And I connected with her, and she said she'd love to do the deck, the children's deck, with me. And afterwards, I thought, okay, I'm just going to try this. I'm going to search for, and I can't remember what the keywords were. I'd written them down, and I couldn't find her. And I went about 15 or 20 pages before I actually found her. So here, Spirit had made this the first page, the first person on the first page when I was doing the Google search. So I always say I've got a Google guide. I don't know if that's possible or not, but I certainly didn't have a clue on who I was going to be looking for.
Well, and if I'm correct, she's also been the artist of some other decks.
Yes, she has. She's done
because
some
her
amazing
art is
work.
very familiar to me. I believe the Angel Inspiration deck I have is one that she has done.
Yeah, I can't remember some of the other decks. And it was her idea, actually, when we were doing a children's deck. She said, well, I can, being a graphic artist, I can pull up images from, children. She said, but wouldn't it be fun if we could use real children? I said, yeah, it would. And my little, cogs were going over. And I said, leave it with me. I'm going to basically reach out to people on social media through my pages and say, they knew, because I'd been asked to create a children's deck. And, I have grandchildren, but my son's, a grown man. And so I'm a long way from small children. So I wanted to make sure when I was creating that particular deck that I had insights from child educators, people with children that were younger, that were, around about the 8-year mark and so on, to be able to get some feedback before we went ahead with anything. But I had reached out, and by that time I had written all the words. And so Kim knew what we were looking for. So my message that went out was, do you think this would be a great idea? If you do, just contact me. Don't send me any photographs or anything. Contact me, and we're just I was getting emails with people's grandkids, their kids, and so on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so trusting, because everybody had to sign what do they call it? A disclaimer, a waiver thing. One, so Kim was looking for. Sometimes we would want a particular kind of thing, so we were getting all these. So by the time I said, okay, I think I've got enough, don't send me any more. I was so overwhelmed and feeling so blessed that everybody was so trusting to go into this children's deck after people have said, we want you to create a children's deck, because there aren't any kids decks out there that resonate with day-to-day things that we become involved in. And a lot of mums are sort of saying, I'm playing with my deck and my kids want to play with it, but I feel that it may be a bit too old for them. They won't understand some of the information. So it became this beautiful tool, and it was such a synchronistic journey of not knowing this is what it was going to be and how it was going to turn out. And, again, I feel so blessed. She's got some mythical and magical creatures in there, but all the children in that children's deck actually have a name. So, and all the kids that have mentioned that have been involved in that, their first name is in the guidebook there, so that they know who they are. Because obviously, mind you, I would send the image that their particular child was in, and then they were posted all over their social media, which is okay. But for me, it's like, children are sacred, and that kind of thing. So, but it was so much fun. And then working with the I Am Vibrational Affirmation deck, I was told by Spirit there's going to be a male influence for the artist. And I'm like, okay, male influence. So again, I did my Google search with my keywords, which I have written down, that's in my folder.
Another amazing artist.
Yes, and another amazing artist was Aaron Pine that came up, and I connected with him, and he did actually the I Am Vibrational and the I Am Sacred decks. So I wanted to keep the consistency with the same kind of graphics going into them. And he, again, is an amazing artist, and he's done some work and he does a lot of spiritual work as well himself now. So all of these elements, there are no coincidences, they all come together. And I'm hopeful to work with Heather again on another deck that I want to do, but it's on hold at the moment.
Well, I look forward to that release.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm excited to get my hands on the other decks. Also, the fun fact, we just have a few more minutes, but I want to make sure everyone knows about the apps as well.
Oh, yes.
I love the features you have on the apps. How you can do 1 card, 3 cards, 11 cards. You can save them. You can write journaling on them all through your phone. It's so convenient.
Yeah, and for the children's deck and the vibrational earth children deck and the vibrational energy oracle deck, you can download 11 cards, I think it is, and that's free. You can play with that infinitely, but there only are 11 cards out of 52. If you want to purchase the whole 52 cards, yes, you can go ahead and do that on the app. And the I Am Sacred that was just launched earlier this year, last year, sorry, middle of last year, you can download the whole 52 cards, play with it for 7 days, and then after that you either purchase it or I think it goes offline kind of thing for you. So they're all infinite possibilities there.
Definitely. I love the options. You also teach classes. You also do readings. Let's just direct everyone to your website.
Yeah, it's vibrational-energy.com. And I do a monthly newsletter, and if you sign up for my newsletter, you get an automatic free link to a meditation, and an I Am meditation. It's I Am mantra meditation. So that's free as my sort of thank you for signing up for my monthly newsletter. I also do weekly readings on YouTube where I share using all the decks and different insights. And it's amazing the way every week spirits seem to link in one thing to the next thing. And this week's was called Unlocked and Loaded.
Why is that?
Well, because over the last month leading up to June, we've cleared a lot of stuff through what they've been telling us. And now we're loaded up with all the things that we need to move forward to go on to the next part. And I love it because the way they share certain things to us and then they come out in the cards. I love the way the confirmation comes out in the cards. It's just too amazing.
It really is neat. I did happen to get a little bit of that. I wasn't aware that you had so many YouTube videos, so I'm going down that rabbit hole this weekend.
Yeah, there's some free meditations on there. Just go in and look and, listen to whatever you want. This Friday, actually, we've got a full moon.
Yes, I'm excited.
Strawberry moon. So if you come onto my Facebook page at, I think it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, I'm doing a free full moon meditation with my friend Ida Keatley, and if you don't get a chance to see it there, then it will be uploaded to my Facebook page and shared, and I may, if I get time, I may even upload it to YouTube, but I'm not promising on that because it's Wednesday today and I have a busy day tomorrow. So if it happens, it happens. If not, please don't shoot the messenger.
Well, at least it's going to be on one platform.
Yes. And Mondays at noon Eastern, again, I do what I call a conversation with. And this Monday, actually Monday the 8th, myself, Ida Keatley, and Josephine Michael will be doing mini free readings for people. And that's on my Facebook page, Debbie A. Anderson, Vibrational Energy. So come join us.
How wonderful. It has been such a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Your really energy is contagious.
Thank you.
My cheeks are sore from smiling the whole time. I've really enjoyed your company. Thank you.
Thank you. And I enjoyed being on the show. Thank you.
And for those of you who didn't get a chance to write down that information, feel free to email me at connect@soulwanderings.com. I'll make sure that you get it. Soul Wanderings can be found on all of the main social media platforms. You can write me there as well as checking out soulwanderings.com for the archives and, of course, the official KGRA radio on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share with your friends and family, and let's keep having these beautiful connections and conversations that bring awareness into our experiences. Thank you for being here with us tonight, and good night, Wanderers.